Hello friends! I think it is fair to say that we all have very different study techniques and all learn differently, but there are very common study mistakes that we all make, and I wanted to point those out to you so hopefully you don't make them in the future. Number 1 is procrastination, which seems to be pretty obvious. But when we have so many things going on with our life, it is easy to put something we feel is so far away on the back burner. Something that I found myself doing a lot in college was going to the library to study, but then picking up my phone every 60 seconds to check Facebook or Instagram, even though nothing changed. The classic procrastination move. I learned quickly that if I wanted to get anything done, I had to disconnect for a bit, even if that meant leaving my phone in my car. The best way to stay focused but also not overwhelm yourself is to set a timer. I would always do 30 minutes of studying and then 10 to 15 minutes of relaxing and then going back to work. This would help with my procrastination bug, and I eventually got over it. Number 2. This connects with what I was just talking about, but the second mistake people make quite often is cramming for a test. Hey, some people might think it works for them, but I have found from my personal experience, as well as numerous studies, including one done by a professor at UCLA, that cramming for a test is a big no-no. They were quoted saying students generally learn best when they keep a consistent study schedule. So that's why I'm here to say to create a study schedule that allows you to start studying for a final or a midterm at least 3 weeks out. This will allow your stress levels to not get super high, and it will allow you to relax a bit before the big test. Number 3 is relying on others to prepare you for the exam instead of yourself, especially relying on your professor. This sounds a bit strange, I realize this, but what I mean is that just because you show up to every single class and have gone over the study guide doesn't mean that you're just going to get an easy A and you don't need to do any sort of studying. As a student, you have to make sure you understand the material. My best advice is to study until you are able to explain the material to someone else without looking over your notes. If you can teach it, then you know it. Number 4 is not knowing what type of learner you are, and this can mean the difference between getting an A and a D on a test. I found out early on that I was a visual learner, meaning that I am someone who needs to see how it is done, see examples, pictures, diagrams, etc., where some people can be auditory learners who just need to hear it. It is important to know what type of learner you are, because if you have a professor who lectures the entire time and you are a visual learner, you will have to do some work to make sure you give yourself the proper material in order to succeed. Like I said before, you cannot rely on your professor. You have to be a responsible student and take control of your education. Number 5 is the difference between memorizing and actually understanding a concept. It is easy to memorize rather than understand the actual concept. But this can come back to bite you, especially with a final that covers all chapters. Or if you are asked a certain question that is slightly different than what you have been studying, it is easier to get hung up because you're only looking for those keywords you studied and not the actual concept that would help you pick out the correct answer. So these are just 5 common mistakes that students make while studying. I have made them all, and some more. If you want to share any of your mistakes to help others, leave them down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching.